Hi, everybody. Welcome to Parlour Tea. I'm Genevieve.
I'm John. How are you?
This is so exciting. This is episode 6, I think.
Yes.
Yes. So we're about to welcome our very dear friend, Sarah Blake. Sarah has been, let's say, a fixture here at the Parlour. Can we call her that? A regular since day one, pretty much.
Yep.
She's done tarot readings here. She did this really cool thing with tarot card readings with the use of a spirit box.
Yep. And
which
she
was John's
did.
idea.
That was my idea. But she's also talked to us about sigils and different forms of.
And she did a meditation class.
And did a meditation class. And there's some other classes that we are going to do with her.
Yes.
That we'll talk when we bring her on.
So without any
further ado,
let's bring Sarah on.
Jazz hands.
You can jazz hands while I do the technical work.
Jazz hands.
Hey. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. How are you? I'm great. How about you guys?
We're good.
Great.
Awesome.
We really did not give you a very good of an very stellar introduction. So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself a little bit, tell everybody what you do.
And where
I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy being referred to as a fixture of the parlor. I like that. I'm good. Just stuck to the wall and looking around and loving it.
I mean,
love it every second.
Twilight Zone episode.
So hi. My name is Sarah. I am a tarot reader operating under Twin Crows Tarot. And I've studied tarot for about 10 years. And my favorite place in the world to do tarot readings in person is at the Parlour. It is my second home.
Which conveniently you will be here on March 16th from 2
I will
8.
indeed. 2 to 8, yep.
Excellent. Which is great.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I can't wait.
You guys are out there and you are listening. I highly suggest you take the opportunity to come in, book with Sarah. I do want to just ask your opinion of this.
Wait, let's let her tell what else she does.
Oh,
she does other things
sorry,
too.
I jumped in.
Sorry. So I do the tarot thing because I've been studying tarot for about 10 years. And I do in-person readings at wonderful places like the Parlour. I also do email readings, Zoom readings, all that fun stuff. In addition to Twin Crows Tarot, I also started Hushed Up History about 9 years ago. And it's a website that focuses on all the crazy, creepy, shocking, amazing, true stories from history that get left out of a lot of textbooks. So those two are my heartbeats: Twin Crows Tarot and Hushed Up History.
Huh.
Cool. We'll have you back to talk more about Hushed Up History.
But
anytime.
There's other things that I know that you do that we had talked about, I think, and we'll talk as we go further along.
Sure.
But
like a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger.
I know, right? For me too.
We'll be back after these messages. No, okay. Can you talk about what that maybe people have had this type of discussion? Oh, I don't want a tarot card reading because they're going to tell me something. I'm going to it's bad. It's like bad info and stuff.
Yeah.
You get that a lot?
I have. And I think a lot of it, tarot has unfortunately gotten a really bad rep for a lot of the same reasons that you see things like Ouija boards having a bad rep. A lot of it is media, and a lot of it is very unfounded opinions that have been fueled by things like media. Tarot cards are a tool, like Ouija boards, like some of these other items. They are a tool to get information from other planes. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a tool of divination.
I agree. And I think that there's so many ways to read them. There are so many ways to interpret them. There are so many amazing, beautiful indie tarot deck designers. It's all about how you read them and how you relate to them. So let's get her opinion, because we've asked Nicole. So what is your opinion on, do you buy your own, or does someone have to buy
the rules?
Tarot?
Yes.
It's funny how there are so many rules on tarot, and like who put these here? Where did these come from? Right? You can absolutely buy your own deck. 100%. There is no, it's not cursed. It's not going to be less of a effective tool for you. None of that is true, in my opinion. You can absolutely buy your own tarot deck, and I encourage people to buy their own tarot deck. 100%. Especially if you're going to be doing readings for other people, you want something that you feel closely to and that you resonate with. If you're using a tarot deck and you just don't connect with and don't like the artwork on it, I feel it inhibits you. If you're not working with something that you really love and that you feel connected to, it will affect the reading one way or another, in my opinion.
And I agree. I think that relatability with this is,
definitely.
Like, I know this sounds kind of weird, but this is the way that I am. And I have tarot card readings for a very long time. I sort of look around at, like, if there's a bunch of people, I have to find some connection in the back of my head that I think that person's going to read for me. I believe that that's what the person's going to get and give me what I need from that. So,
oh no, I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's really good, actually. That you're using whatever sense you have there to kind of know where you should go. I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's a really good thing for anybody to do. If you know how everybody like gets those like feelings about vibes from people.
Yep.
You should apply that the same way for a reader as you would a friend. If you approach a reader and you get that like ick feeling, maybe they shouldn't be your reader.
right.
Same thing applies with anybody that you want to encounter.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, taking a step. Are you saying
Yeah.
taking a little step back, do you think that anybody can read tarot, or do you think it's only specific people that can read?
No, anybody. My personal opinion is that anybody can learn to read tarot. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, and it does take a lot of patience, because there is that other component to tarot. There's the learning the definitions of what the symbols mean, and then there's also incorporating your intuition and how you know how to piece them together. So again, like, I feel everybody can read tarot. I feel everybody can develop their intuition to whatever level they desire. So again, it does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of practice, but I 100% believe that anybody can learn to do this.
I think the other component of it too is the learning the way to deliver the messages to people too. That's a
Yes.
big.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I think that's with a lot of things. It's like knowing your audience and knowing how to handle an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just be, there are readers that are very short and curt and whatever. And that's why I think that finding the right person for you is really the best way to get and understand what a reading really can be.
Yep.
Right.
So
yeah, I know one of the other like rules I've heard about tarot over the years. I've had people say to me that the bad cards, which there are no bad cards in my opinion, but that the bad cards should be removed to make it easier and happier for the person you're reading for. Again, my personal opinion, I feel like that is a level of dishonesty to the person you are reading for. You have to look at all of the cards to give the right message. There is definitely, I feel, a level of trust between the reader and the person they are reading for. And if someone is coming to you with that level of trust, you owe them the complete message, or as complete of a message as you can give them.
Every time John pulls a card, he shows it to me. He goes, "Is this bad? Is this a bad card?
Is this bad?
Are no bad cards?
What is it?"
So I have to say, there is beauty in the darkness and there's beauty in the light. And I feel that tarot cards, and people don't realize this, even as a tarot card reader or as not a tarot card reader, the art on some of these decks are absolutely amazing.
They're wonderful.
They are.
Me personally, like I only read with one deck, but I own way too many decks. And it's all because you have this amazing artwork. If you buy a tarot deck, you're buying an art gallery. and it's just some of the artwork, some of the imagery, and also if you're reading, I find it very helpful if this is something that you want to do. Look at the other artwork, because you will always find some other interpretation. You'll always find some other piece there that you can add to your own readings. It strengthens you to be able to see how other people interpret the things.
Well, that was what I was leading up to. I was going to be sort of nosy, and I was going to ask, like, how many tarot decks do you own?
Probably somewhere in there.
100. It's
That's
less
less
than
It is
100.
less than 100.
That's good.
So I am great.
I know people that have at least 500 decks of
Yeah.
cards that they can't get
We
rid
have
of.
them in the back.
But like they can't get rid of that because of the beauty of it. And you're right.
Yeah.
It is, each card has this, it's like you're holding a piece of art. And I don't think that people
100%.
understand that the sweat, the tear, the excitement that goes into them. And I think that because of that, don't you feel that the power of the love and the greatness that these people are putting forward sort of go into that kind of the deck itself?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with like independent artists that are creating these decks. I feel this way about any piece of art. When you create a piece of art, you are putting a piece of you into it. Yeah. And I feel that also applies to tarot decks and all of the art, especially because it's such a collection of so many different pieces of art from that person. It becomes a very symbolic and very powerful representation for them.
I agree with you. I think, don't you feel, because you read cards a lot.
Absolutely. And there are some decks that I have that I absolutely love. Like I have a fairy deck that is gorgeous. I can't read. I cannot read it.
Yeah.
It just does not make sense.
I have decks that I don't really read them at all, but they're so beautiful
you should bring them
that
to
I
me.
can't bend. I just can't do it, because I just think, like, I'll flip through to look at the beautifulness of it, but I just can't feel like doing that to that.
See, that's a weird thing too, though, because the deck that I mean, it's no secret, I constantly use the Madame Clara 5-cent tarot deck. That's my favorite go-to deck.
That is one of my favorite decks ever. I love that deck so much.
Shameless self-promotion for us, but I love that the edges are getting all worn, and it's like I take them out now, and it's like they're an old friend.
Yes.
So
and you can see a physical representation of the time and effort put and love and attention put into those cards with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny part of this whole thing is, and I have to show you them. I have them. They're very old. They're smaller. They were Rick's. They were given to him as a gift. They're old. I don't know the thing. I have to find them. I will show you them. They're beautiful. So would you suggest, like, I know that people go out and they look for all these older things and they find old tarot cards from someone else. Do you suggest that to do that? Because intentions are different with everyone. I don't know. What's your take on that?
I mean, my take on that would be the same take that I would apply to any sort of spiritual, magical type of tool. It's not that I would say you can't do it or you wouldn't do it, but I would make sure to cleanse them very well and to give them that kind of blank slate so that they're available to have your energy and to work with you now, as opposed to having any kind of residual thing. Do I feel like, oh no, you can't do that? No, I don't. I just feel like with anything used that you would buy, you might just have to take a couple extra steps to get it to be fully yours so that you can work with it. But I personally don't see an issue with that.
Do you let other people touch your cards?
I haven't really been in a scenario where anybody has needed to touch my cards.
When you do a reading, do you shuffle, or do you have your person shuffle for you? Like, do you have?
I shuffle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I let touch
there
it.
are people touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your energy in there. Ask a question while you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm a little all over the place with my cards.
So since you said
No.
you have a lot of decks, which one is your
Mhm.
like? What is your besides? I know you gave Madame Clara, but what are your favorite tarot decks to deal either with someone else or yourself?
I mean, when I read, I exclusively use the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And the reason for that, not only is it just like a thing with me because that's the deck I learned on, but I feel that there are so many tarot decks that are based on that deck that I recommend this to anybody who's also trying to learn. I always say to learn on that deck because it's like learning the letters of the alphabet, because so many decks are based off of it. So that once you have those meanings down, you can take that and then you're golden. And you can use so many other decks with possibly artwork that you like better and that resonates with you better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Did it go out of your head again?
No. No. So, when did you decide like that you really enjoyed this kind of side of the spiritual, metaphysical kind of side and decide to go on that journey?
I feel like I have always been very in touch with this type of thing and had a very strong interest in this type of thing since I was very, very young. But it's become so much more accessible now within the last 10, 15, even 20 years or so that other people are into this. There are more books available. There are people that are a lot more open about doing classes on these types of things and speaking about these types of things. I fell into tarot kind of accidentally. I went to a class for something else that a friend of mine was doing, and then I found that they were doing a tarot class. So I said, all right, well, I want to give that a shot. And I mean, I instantly was like, oh, I really enjoy this. Really, really enjoy this. And I just followed up with it, kept going with it, and now it's over a decade later somehow. And here I am talking to you guys.
No. Well, I mean, I just
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
because I'm branching into something else.
Me
so
too.
Oh, okay, good. So then I'll go first. So my whole thing is, as you know, Sarah, I've picked your brain. I picked Genevieve's brain with this. And I think bringing back some of that old school kind of stuff that people know about but really haven't dabbled in, but you do, which is the astrology piece as well as the numerology. Right? Am I right? She froze?
I don't know.
Astrology and numerology are things that I have touched on. They are not something I'm super well versed in. That's on my list of like things to know about and to learn about in the future. But I am deeply, deeply interested in those.
Okay. I might have gotten a little confused, but
He's confusing
okay.
Sarah's maybe.
I got maybe. But I just like I don't know if anybody like if they get a chance to come and get a reading by you, or if they come and get a reading outside of the parlor. I think that she is one of them that I always say is fascinating. You could just listen to you talk about everything and anything, and I think it's awe and it's inspiring to me. So I'm just saying, just like
guys,
but you are very diverse in what you do, and I think that you're very intelligent on how you communicate them, and I enjoy when you come. So just saying.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. Aw.
You're stuck with us.
welcome.
You're a
Thanks,
fixture
guys.
now.
It's true.
I'm a fixture.
It's true.
My question is a little bit kind of veering off a little bit too. So cartomancy is
Yes.
tarot card reading. Are there any other mancies that you're interested in?
Oh, there's so many Mancies. Overall, I just think divination as a whole is something that is so fascinating and just so cool to learn about and to just use and to see messages and how this information comes through people and how it's interpreted. It's fascinating to me. One of them that I am very fascinated by is pyromancy. Working with fire. But there's so many Mancies. So many Mancies. And I think they're all fascinating in one way or another.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me too is that, you know, divination started so many years ago, and it's been such a fixture in human consciousness, human society for millennia.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I have an anthropology background and that sort of interests me. I'm curious, like many years ago, it was a means to sort of give people some kind of understanding of the world around them. We have such a deeper understanding scientifically, and we have all these other different things at our tools at our disposal, but still divination is thing that people are continuing to seek out, and that just fascinates me because I'm a nerd.
But I don't think that science would eliminate one and the other one eliminate the other. I think that at times I think they jointly can sort of go together.
I think the metaphysical at some point was trying to understand something that science wasn't quite caught up with.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, these two worlds were not as separated and sometimes against each other as they are now. At one point, these two worlds were very interconnected. And then, of course, over time, with the development of thought and how people looked at the world, they somehow got torn apart. And I feel like more and more they are getting closer and closer to becoming friends again. But it definitely back then, you know, way back when, this was an everyday thing. You know, you weren't looked at weird by like, oh, let me go talk to cards. It was just, that was as simple as let me turn on and see what the weather is. But I think we're slowly getting back there, back to where this and the role this had in people's lives.
And I think too, when you look at all of the different things that people would use for divination, literally anything can be used as a divination tool.
Yep. Anything from every day that you had access to, that's what you used. That became your tool for this information.
The clouds. You look at the way the clouds are moving. That's a sign. If you look at the way your cows are moving in the field, that's a sign.
Right. But I think that, you know, as we talked about this with Kristen, you know, I had discussed that before. I think it's generational. I do believe that this generation that's up and coming has become more spiritual and more is open. Guided and more open to these abilities, which I think is really very cool because it looks like it's gone and it's kind of weird in this kind of realm that it seems like it's gone a full circle. Like that's how it started, and then now it went through, and
now it's headed on back.
Now it's back, and I think it's really an amazing thing to see so many people embracing something that is so old and so yes, and seeing it. They might not, you know, you have people that don't believe things, and then you have people that do believe things. But I think this generation really does try to see all these sides to make their own decision, and I think that's great. That's just.
I think people too. I think part of it is also we're becoming a lot more. Not that we didn't know it before, but we're becoming a lot more face to face with the wrongness and the cruelty that some of this has evoked in the past. And we now have a much better understanding that this was wrong. This was wrong to do. We're becoming much more accepting of these things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back then, I mean, we had no idea how many people would practice these things because you had to be quiet about it. Now, you don't have to be as quiet about it in many places, not everywhere, unfortunately. But the door is a lot more open than it once was. And hopefully it'll be swung wide open one day.
Which I think is amazing. I really
do. It is.
I think I really appreciate the world being a little bit different and allowing people to do things differently. It's a slow process, but it's always been a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to speed up a little bit more with everybody moving up into things, and then the other generations coming in with that
Yep.
mindset of the others, bringing that down. I really hope
You
we're
also
around
have-
to see this.
We also have a vast amount of technology that helps people to learn and understand. I mean, we do classes via, you do readings
Right.
Yep.
via
Right.
Zoom, right? You do
And the
online.
younger
Yep.
generation is so techy.
so
They pick things
accessible.
up. So
I mean, look at how much of a force things like TikTok have become.
Yeah.
I have my TikTok account, Twin Crows Tarot. It allows me to just be able to go live at any point of the day, any point in time, and just do readings for people that people
Yeah.
can access for free from their phone, which is something
Right.
most people have on them at all times. So it's all part of that door opening more and more and more.
So just on that point too, do you find that some people may want readings all the time and become a little bit hyper dependent on readings? Because I've seen
Yes.
that happen.
Yes, it does happen. Your reader, any reader, has to be able to identify that and has to be able to let this person know. These cards, I've seen a lot of times where people that fall into that, they look at these cards as less guidelines and more instructions to follow.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's something that has to be made clear between reader and the person getting the reading. That these are not set in stone. This is what is going to happen. There is nothing to change. Like, this is it. The reading is a guideline for you to move forward.
You're right. But I also feel that there's such grief and such loss that I think that drives them to be like they're still having that conversations through the tarot cards by asking those types of questions because and that they can relate and get something. Oh, he's thinking about me. I feel so much better. And then they're back next week. Is he thinking about me? Like,
Grief is
it's hard.
It
It's
is
very
very
difficult.
hard.
Right. And there's many different types of grief.
Right.
And different ways to process all of those many different kinds. So
but I don't think that people always process it properly, and that's also a problem as well.
Everybody's got their own path.
But I do believe
their own
that
process.
But I do believe there are people that do take advantage of these types of situations on people because they just do. And
there are people that do that. Yeah. I guess that's where I was kind of going with that. Like, how do you differentiate between someone that's coming for guidance, like, a monthly check-in versus like someone who's living their life based on what the cards are saying? That's a tough.
When you're doing these readings, if it is like somebody who keeps coming back, there are patterns to look for. Are they asking the exact same thing over and over and over again? Have they made any progress? Usually if you're going to a reader and you go to them over and over and over again, there does a closeness does form. And usually those type of people will be very open with what is going on in their life, what's happened since the last reading. So I would think that would be something, even if it was just between friends, that you would be able to notice these patterns. Has progress been made, or are they just staying focused on the same thing over and over and over again, just looking for the same answer over and over and over again? So it does take a lot to kind of recognize these patterns if you do have somebody who keeps coming back for readings. But it is definitely something that happens.
So it's kind of tangential to that, but is there anything that you do? Because in a way, I feel like readers are almost like in a sort of like in a caregiver role, and to some extent, like, is there anything that you do to protect yourself from that energy, or like the constant giving out of information to other people? Basically, I'm asking about compassion fatigue because that's something I'm really interested in, and we are working on a course for that to help healers prevent and manage compassion fatigue.
Yeah, and I believe that kind of fatigue can affect any type of reader, not just tarot. Mediumships, like, and anything in that spiritual realm that requires you to use your energy in this other type of plane of things to work, to kind of make those two work together for you. It's a lot of energy. So, I mean, myself, before I do any readings, it's I meditate. That's a big one. You gotta meditate. You gotta bring yourself into that space, ground yourself, and do some basic protection work because you never know who is going to walk in and what they're going to bring to you when you're in a scenario where it's walk-in readings. So you got to be ready for anything, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there is some kind of similarities to readers, but then there's this an individuality with everything.
Yeah, I love that.
Because like we were always approached when we first opened.
We still are.
Yeah. Can we be the in-house reader? Can we be your in-house reader? And because we wanted to bring such a different style and technique to things, that we try not to have the same readers all the time, because I think that you might relate to someone might relate to you or relate to you, but not to someone else. So we wanted to make it very eclectic to show their different styles, different readers, and different interpretations of things.
Right. And I mean, anybody who goes to get these types of readings, if you ever go to any type of reader and they tell you that they can only speak to you, or if you go to a reader and that reader says that you can only go to them and they only know the truth and they can only give you, it's a huge red flag.
Run.
Yes. Everybody within this spiritual kind of thing interprets information differently. Everybody delivers information differently. Everybody gets different information.
Yep.
So I personally am one who always says, like, try different readers. Try them out, see how the messages differ, see how they line up, compare, contrast. But if there's ever a reader that says they are the only right one, or that you are cursed and you need to give more money to remove a curse,
to get
red flag, leave.
I think with our classes too, with New Moon Academy, I say in our very first class, I encourage people to go to as many teachers as possible, learn from as many different sources. If someone tells you that they're your only teacher, that's a cult and you should run.
Yes. I mean, my style of reading differs from a lot of tarot readers, and I know that my style of reading doesn't always make other tarot readers happy, but throughout all the years, that works for me. And I feel that is what works for me, and the obligation that I have to give somebody the most thorough, best message that I can give them. So,
how do you feel about reading for people that you know?
I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. I don't have an issue with reading for people I know.
Sometimes I find that's a challenge, just because it's sort of like separating out what I know of their current situation.
Right.
It's almost like the notes to the test, like the answers to the test.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more to kind of remove yourself from the situation and just do what you do with the cards and the information. But I personally don't have an issue with doing that.
I think that it's kind of funny is that I was trying to think about being a little creative when it comes to certain things. What if you did, but you can't really do that.
Now I gotta know what he's thinking.
Both of us are like, what's John talking about?
Had somebody come in and there was like a screen that you don't know who was behind it, but you just knew there was someone there, and you did a blank reading, not seeing them, that nothing.
Could be interesting.
I kind of do that with my email readings. If somebody gets an email reading from me, I don't know who they are. I don't know what they look like. I don't know where they live. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I think it might be interesting because at first I said, well, what if they blindfold? And then I said, well, then they can't read a card. But I think it would be kind of interesting to do something with a different style, like behind a screen. You don't really know them.
That depending on the reader too. If that is somebody who is just kind of starting, that might actually make the reader feel more at ease too, to not have that face-to-face.
Interesting.
I'm just saying, if you guys want to conduct this experiment, I know a reader who might be down. Just saying.
We'll discuss.
Well, that would be
We'll
great.
discuss on
Okay.
Saturday.
That'd be great. Because getting an opportunity to know you and April and Nicole and Chris and Kristen
them.
a lot more and Ray. I don't want to exclude everybody that's been here. I think the abilities of trying to throw ideas and not feel silly about throwing something out there, I think is really it's like safe space, as well as this, type of communication, the podcast. I like the fact that we can just throw ideas that might turn into something, because we want it to be
everywhere.
Right, but we want it to be unique and different. Not saying that anybody else has never done that before, but for us and Genevieve being a little bit more seasoned in this realm.
Are you calling me old?
I knew that. That's why I went like that. But to be seasoned on this, and then me being a newbie, I think it's kind of interesting, because in the beginning you're like, and then, but wait, just listen. Don't you feel? You're going. But don't you feel that you sort of looked at it in a way like, wow, this person is new?
Well, so inherently I am a teacher. That is like my sole purpose is to teach, right? And for me, it's helpful to have John, because he is so new with all of this that he brings me back to what the basics are and where we need to go from there.
Yeah, John, you would ask the questions that somebody who this might become automatic for might overlook.
Yes. And what a lot of people do come to the parlor for, as far as our magical section, is really they're interested in this, they're drawn to it, they don't know where to start. But anyway, we're digressing. We're going off on a commercial for ourselves over here. Sorry,
I'm not really doing it, but I just meant that.
No, it's great.
That's why, with the same style of tarot readers and so on, I just think that it's a very eclectic group of people.
Yes,
and you dabble in it, and you figure out who fits your, spiritual needs and whatever.
We're here for all your spiritual needs.
Yes, we're here.
Going back to the cult line.
I don't think a cult does jazz hands, so I'm just letting
we
you
could
know
be the first one.
Twinkle fingers.
Twinkle fingers.
It's been one of those days.
Anyway, it's a wild day. We'll fill you in.
So March 16th.
March 16th, 2 to 8 p.m.
2 to 8.
Yes, indeed.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to promote? Anything that you're doing? Any future things that people might be interested?
As far as the world of tarot, I will be at your lovely place that I love so much next week on the 16th. What's that?
8 Main Street.
8 Main Street, Keyport, New Jersey.
Right there. And I mean, I've just been doing, like I said, I offer email readings, Zoom readings. I show up on my TikTok page doing live tarot readings for whoever comes on and would like a single card reading. I do those live on TikTok. As far as Hushed Up History, I am working on getting a book done. Hopefully by the end of the year. That's my goal.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And you teach tarot too, right?
I do. I teach tarot classes. I teach Zoom classes and in-person tarot classes. Yep.
Cool.
I have a very basic Tarot 101, like Tarot Kindergarten, for somebody who, is interested but just does not know where to even try to learn this. And then I have a class that focuses on the major arcana cards.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for her?
That's all that I have. Well, I have a ton of questions because I could sit here and talk to you for a second.
You don't want to take much of your time. It is a Saturday night. It's horror movie night.
It's Tuesday night.
Whatever. Every night is a
just because we didn't mention it in the beginning, this is pre-recorded to be played.
You ruined it.
Time travel.
You ruined the illusion.
Yes,
the parlor also will serve all your time travel needs.
Yes, Genevieve will not be here on Tuesday. That's why we had to pre-record this. But our lovely Genevieve is getting a award from her her day job, which you might press. Can you please just tell them what You
Oh,
are? No.
No, I will not.
Well, she didn't.
No, no.
Okay.
No.
Anyway,
It's
she's
important,
great.
and she's awesome at it. There you
She's
go.
great. Whatever she does, she's great.
Yes.
Anyway, I want to take the time. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
Yes,
guys
we are. We did.
so much. Like I said, I mean, I've said it 100 times, but I will always say it. I absolutely adore the parlor. I love the space.
Love you too.
You guys are amazing. So, and I cannot thank you enough for giving me a place that I can go to and do readings for people in such an amazing space with so much just amazing energy in it. It's a gift. It really is. Thank you.
You're always welcome. It's your
for
home.
us to have you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So,
thanks,
like I
guys.
said, guys, come March 16th, 2 to 8 with Sarah. If not, and you can't make it, go to Sarah's Instagram and which is at the bottom of the screen, and book. Period. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Till
Thank
next
you.
time. Have a
See
great
you
night.
soon.
Bye.
Hey, guys.